Hey guys, it's Katie. It's the next day and I've allowed all of my sauces and stocks to kind of let the flavors marry in the refrigerator. So I'm going to finish my chili. What I've just done is I got a food mill today and it's an OXO brand. It works really nice. I like it. I've passed half of the chili mixture through the food mill, and what was left was a lot of tomato pulp and liquid in the bottom of the bowl. And then I took the rest of the chili, so it was about half of that, and then the other half of the chili I pureed in a blender and then added it all together. So it's a little bit thinner than a chili once I add the chicken, so it's going to be more of like a chili soup, but I really like the way the flavor. So now this is all my cooled chicken. I have 30 pieces of portioned cooled chicken that, remember, I poached in the chicken broth. So now what I'm going to do is, the reason I kept them whole rather than cutting them up was so that I could then make sure that I was portioning the right amount for each little container. So I have about a cup of the chili base, and this is the kind of cup measure that I used. And I got 16 out of the batch that I did. And so now I'm just going to cut up each little chicken breast and then portion it into my little container. So now that I've finished with my chili project, I'm going to start on the tomato sauce. When I cooked the tomato sauce, I put large bunches of herbs in there, and so as I go through it, I'm just going to pull them out because they would clog up the food mill if I did. And I've got the food mill on the biggest blade that it has to make it chunky so that the tomato sauce has a little bit of texture. I'm going to start with about that much and then just grind away. And every couple of grinds you go backwards to clean the blade, and then you start again. So if you guys can see, this is, I've pureed all of the tomato sauce in my food mill, and this is all that's left. This is all the celery and the tomato skins and everything and the seeds that have been caught by the food mill. And I'm just going to throw these down the garbage disposal. I'm still going to include all the calories. I know that it's going to be a little bit less because I'm throwing out some of the pulp, and I did that with the chili too, but I'm still going to factor in those calories, and that way I still have a little bit of leeway room. So after I put it all through the food mill, now I'm going to go to measure it and see how many calories it's in. So I've spent a little while counting up all the calories, and basically as I went I wrote down everything that I used and then how much of the final product I got, and then now I've calculated the total calories. I used Calorie King to look up the calories for like how much of, you know, how many calories are in a tomato or whatever, and so I used those best approximations. So this is a best guess, a very educated guess of what the calories are, which basically you kind of have to accept that, you know, that's what this diet is. It's a best guess of trying to make 500 or 800 calories, whichever version you're trying to do. So here's the total results. The tomato sauce ended up being 12.4 calories per ounce, which is pretty awesome. That's right where I wanted it to be. And I think that's right around, it was right around 12 or 13 calories per ounce last time I made it too. So I was glad that I was consistent both times. So basically with that sauce, you can portion it out into what's going to be chicken and tomato soup if you want. And for that you do 3 ounces of the sauce and some of the chopped chicken, kind of like the how I put it in the chili. And so if you do that, it ends up being, and then you add enough stock to make it like a full 8 ounces of liquid and make it soupy. And that turns out to be about 150 calories per serving, which is pretty awesome. Especially because we used to like to eat soup at the end of the day, like at night, because you're supposed to eat a bigger meal during the middle of the day and then a smaller meal at night, because at night obviously you're not going to be running around and stuff like you are during the day, so you need to eat a smaller meal. So that's how many calories that is, 150 calories. I'm pretty excited. But 12.4 calories per ounce if you wanted to save it to use for other dishes. Also, the chili came out to be 43.625 calories per 8-ounce serving, and that was just the base. It didn't have any meat in it at that point. Once I added the chicken, it turned out to be 152.125 calories. So that's pretty awesome too. That's still kind of around 150 calories per serving. So if you wanted to, you can add beef. Either do ground beef or chopped up filet mignon or chopped up top sirloin, whichever. But we found on the last round that we didn't really do very well with red meat, sad face. But, and we also noticed that we definitely didn't do well with it at night, but we did much better with it at lunch. So you can definitely do that. So those were the calorie counts for both of those. That's pretty exciting. The things I forgot to add in my first 2 videos are that I did use garlic powder, or granulated garlic, and onion powder. I think they were in the pictures, but they weren't in like the measurements. And so I used, in each recipe, I used about 2 teaspoons of each. Of course, all of those seasonings you can add more or less, you know, to your taste. I kind of just eyeballed it a little bit and then guessed what my measurements were. The other thing that I added in the chili was tomato paste. I also added 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And then I also added chopped peppers. I completely left that out because that's part of the bulk of the chili is the peppers. I added 3 chopped green peppers and 1 chopped yellow pepper. Now, if you want to leave out the yellow pepper, you can, because that's not completely on a protocol. But we did really well with peppers last round, so I went ahead and put them in on this round. But yellow and red and orange peppers do have more sugar content in them, so if you find that you don't do well with them, then just use the green. And it'll probably still taste about the same. There's so much chili powder and garlic powder and smoked paprika in it that it kind of covers everything up anyway, which is really good because it gives it a lot of flavor. You know, I was thinking about it. If you notice, other cultures, other than American cultures, use lots and lots of spices, and they're, you know, typically thinner cultures too. So they kind of use more spices for flavor rather than fat, salt, and sugar, which is what Americans use a lot, unfortunately. But, so yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed these demos. It's really hard to put these together, so I'm sorry if they're not perfect, and I'm sorry if my recipes aren't perfect. I did post them on a note on my Facebook page, so if you want to friend me on Facebook, you can tag yourself in that note if you want. But the only things that I didn't use that weren't perfectly on protocol were, I used red wine in the tomato sauce. I used 1/4 cup because it just makes it taste that much better. And 1/4 cup of red wine for the calories and divided amongst that many servings isn't really that much that I worried about it. And we used red wine like as a splash in tomato sauce last round and did just fine. So I added it this round. You know, red wine has the antioxidants in it for you anyway. I also added tomato paste, which I did not add last round, but I think it should be just fine because the only ingredients on that were tomatoes and salt. And then the other thing that I added that was not on protocol, oh, the yellow pepper. So you could just switch that out if you want. My friend Laura was talking about trying to make things in bulk, but her girlfriend Stephanie is vegetarian, so she was wondering how she would cook things in bulk. And I think that really you could do both of these recipes that way still. And because when you stop to add the chicken stock to the chili, you could just stop and either add vegetable stock. You could probably just buy organic vegetable stock and that would be fine. Or and then, you know, she could separate out her chicken stock. You know, you'd have to label everything, but still. But I don't really know what the options are for vegetarians for protein. I know it's really important to get the protein, but I don't really know. So if anybody watching this has good suggestions of vegetarian items to do on HCG, please list a comment so that I can let them know, because they're going to be joining the HCG community. I think they're starting Monday, next Monday or so, or maybe it's 2 weeks or something. Anyway, shout out to them, and I hope their planning is going well. Yeah, I'm excited because Laura she's a friend of mine from culinary school, and so she works as a chef right now. So I'm really excited because she will probably be able to come up with even way better recipes than I can. So I think I'm going to send her some miracle noodles because I did not do very well cooking them. I don't know what my problem was, but I'm not very good at Asian dishes really. I know that's terrible, but I went to French culinary school, so I don't really know. But maybe she can do something with them. So I'm going to send a couple of my packages to her and see what she can do with them. Along with, I'm going to send her some other HCG care package items, so her and her girlfriend can play with the new ingredients. So, because I'm liking that somebody else is starting this journey too. It's exciting. I hope they do really well. I've had a hard couple of days trying to film this little cooking demonstration. I can totally understand why it's really hard to put one up all the time because they're hard to put together. So 3 cheers for anyone that does it, and I really appreciate watching them, and I hope other people do too, because it was hard for me giving up watching the Food Network during HCG because I just couldn't watch it. I wanted to cheat or throw myself off a bridge or something, and it was just too hard to watch. So hopefully we can have our own little HCG Food Network community and still be able to get our kicks in then when we're still on phase 2. But I will probably go back to watching after I'm done. Anyway, so I know I've said bye like 4 times like I always do, but I hope you guys are having good losses, and I hope these recipes help with your losses, and let me know if you try them and if they're good. I certainly think they're good, and so does Ian, my little taste tester. So y'all have fun and happy